Brand disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed by individuals on this platform, the callers plus invited guests, are their own. The information you hear does not reflect the overall views of all parties associated with this brand. We encourage everyone to research all things heard live or via archive for edification purposes. Discretion is advised.
Don't touch that dial. You're now listening to Debate Talk Free Radio.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you guys doing? Welcome to another show. You're now listening to Season 11 of Debate Talk for You right here on Blog Talk Radio. I'm your host, SALSHOWTIME, and we are back once again. As always, get your pen and pads ready. Take down some notes. If you'd like to hear from the listening audience during the Q&A portion of the show, that number to call in is 563-999-3674. Today's show is entitled Marriage and the Blood Covenant. Once again, today's show is entitled Marriage and the Blood Covenant. My special guest teaching this topic is Mack Thomas. So once again, we appreciate the family out there that's tuning in via social media, that's calling in via phone. If you're on social media, do me a favor, share it on your personal page. Let people know that Debate Talk for You is live on the air, and make sure you attach the brand new number, 563-999-3674. For those that are new to the show, once you call in, if you have any questions, simply press number 1, and we'll add you into the conversation. Just press number 1, and we'll add you in. Without further ado, let's introduce the special guest. Once again, like I said, Mack Thomas. Welcome to the program.
Shalom, shalom, Sal, shalom, family. Back again.
That's right, back again. And by the way, family, we had a debate this past Monday. That should be posted up on later on today. So we're going to have that debate up on the YouTube page later today. So subscribe to the YouTube page. If you're not already on YouTube, go to Debate Talk for You Radio and subscribe to the YouTube page. We have actually separate shows featured on the YouTube page. So we're not only on Blog Talk, we're on YouTube. So again, subscribe to the YouTube page. The chat room is officially open, family. Once again, the chat room is officially open. If you want to gain access to the chat room, all you got to do, go to the website, www.blogtalkradio.com/debate talk for you. Click on this show and scroll down at the bottom. You can see like a little box right there where you can interact with me or anyone that's inside the chat room. For those that don't feel like calling in, you can type in your questions, and I'll gladly read questions or comments to my special guest. But without further ado, because we have a lot of people on the phone line, let's get this lesson started. All right, Mack, I'm going to open up your phone line and take it away.
Okay, shalom, family. I don't have much time, so I'm going to try to get as much in this as possible. So, again, the topic is marriage, biblical marriage, based on the Hebraic concept and the blood covenant, how these things are both similar when we're talking about a righteous marriage and how we as men, and I'm mainly focusing on the men here, it's also to the women too, but we as men have to understand marriage and the concepts that our forefathers did. Because if we don't, we misappropriate the understanding. We don't have no understanding of the blood covenant and how it was implemented. Because if we don't understand what marriage is about, because a lot of men think that, I could treat my wife any other way, like a slave, like a servant, like all these different things, and they misunderstand the words that's being applied here when we're given the covenant of the Most High. So my first scripture is going to be Bereshith, Genesis chapter 2, verse 20, Bereshith chapter 2, verse 18. And Yahuwah said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him an helpmeet for him. And it says, and out of the ground, Yahuwah Elohim formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. And Adam gave names to all the cattle and to the fowl of the air and to every beast of the field. But for Adam, there was not found an helpmeet for him. So we know that Adam was the first was the first man, as well as he was the son of Elohim. So we see that the understanding here is that because he was the first, the Most High knew when he created Adam that it was not good for him to be alone, so he created a helpmeet for him. So we see verse 21, and it says, Yahuwah Elohim caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept, and he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which Yahuwah Elohim had taken from man made he a woman and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman because she was taken out of man. So let's go to the precept of that understanding of how we as men and how we as the body of Mashiach are supposed to look like. So let's go to Ephesians Chapter 3, and we're going to start at verse 30. And it says, I'm sorry, I said the wrong thing. Ephesians 5, verse 30. Okay, because I was like, wait, there's no 30 here. It says, For we are members of his body, of his flesh, and of his bones. For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall be joined unto his wife, and they two shall be one flesh. This is a great mystery, but I speak concerning Mashiach and the congregation. Nevertheless, let every one of you in particular so love his wife, even as himself, and the wife see that she reverence her husband. So the main focal point here is that we as men misunderstand a lot of things about marriage, because the way we treat the wife, and the way we say, okay, you as my wife need to respect me, honor me, love me, need to do what I say, all of these different things, however men treat their wives. The downside to that is that just as we as men try to say these things to our wives, we don't see as men we should be like that according to the Most High, according to Mashiach. Because we forget that all of the things that we're telling our wives to do, if we're not doing that ourselves, one, we are not holding Mashiach as our head. We are not making him the head over our life. Just like we understand that the woman has to understand who her head is, which is her own husband, and we get angry, we get frustrated, we get mad because if she was going to somebody else, if she looks at somebody else, if she is going astray and she's doing her own thing and is not obedient to the instructions of the household that the man sets in his house, we get angry. We get frustrated. We figure out, why are you doing this to me? Well, the question is, why are we as men doing this to the Most High? Why are we not correcting ourselves and being faithful, being obedient, honoring his word and keeping his word like we're supposed to? There's not a real relationship. So the marriage and the blood covenant is the exact same way. That's how the Most High is viewing it. He said that that we are basically we are the rib that was taken out of Mashiach. We are the rib, and we've transformed as the body, as the woman, as the bride of Mashiach. So because we have transformed into the body, into that form, to be the bride unto Mashiach, we are now bone of his bone, flesh of his flesh. So let's go to another precept. Going right back to pertaining to marriage, going right back to Bereshit chapter 3. Bereshit chapter 3. I'm going to start at verse 16. And it says, in Bereshit chapter 3, verse 16, and it says, Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over you. So the main focus in this passage here is that in sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over you. Okay? So we try to hammer that in and say, oh, I'm the man, you're supposed to listen to me, you're supposed to obey me. Okay? So put yourself in the sense of how am I supposed to be when it comes to Mashiach? Am I not only supposed to obey him, listen to him, because he's the head over me? I'm a man. He's the head over me. So the same instructions that I'm giving my wife to do and how she should be treating me, that's the same concepts that we should be putting within ourselves as men to do right by Mashiach. One and the same, because the same covenant that we make when it comes to marriage is the exact same covenant that we make unto the Most High. It's the exact same. And I'm going to show you. Let's go to Exodus chapter 4, or excuse me, chapter 24. Exodus chapter 24. Exodus chapter 24. And we are going to start at verse 3. And it says, and Moses came and told the people all the words of Yahuwah and all the judgments, and all the people answered with one voice and said, all the words which Yahuwah has said, Yahuwah has said, will we do. And Moses wrote all the words of Yahuwah and rose up early in the morning and builded an altar under the hill and 12 pillars according to the 12 tribes of Yasharal. And he sent young men of the children of Yasharal, which offer burnt offerings and sacrifice peace offerings of oxen unto Yahuwah. And Moses took half of the blood and put it in basins, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar. And he took the book of the covenant and read in the audience of the people. And they said, all that Yahuwah has said will we do and be obedient. And Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people and said, behold, the blood of the covenant which Yahuwah has made with you concerning all these words. Now, it's important to know, why is he sprinkling the blood upon not only the book of the covenant, but also upon the people? Why is blood being used in this covenant? What is the purpose of the blood being the book of the covenant and upon the people? And all the congregation had to agree as a witness, not only to themselves, but unto the Most High, that everything that the Most High said, they will do. This goes to show, again, it's a marriage covenant. Because just as a wife will say, oh, I'm going to love you in sickness and in death. I'm going to love you in prosperity and in poverty. I'm going to love you in all these different things. I don't care if you're maimed. I don't care if you're defrauded. I don't care what happens. I'm going to love you till death do us part. Notice what we do. When we have a marriage, in front of all these witnesses, we show that what the wife says out of her mouth and what we say as men out of our mouth, because we got to keep the focus on the fact that we are the leadership in our house. So when we say the things out of our mouths pertaining to we're going to love our wife in sickness and in death, till death do us part, and all these different things, the Most High holds on to that. That's a covenant. That's your word. That's your bond. That is your life. If you do not do according to what you said out of your mouth, there's no way you can keep the bond of the covenant with the Most High. It's impossible. It is impossible. If you can't keep your word between your wife to love her according to ways that the Most High told you to do, the same way he loves you, you have to love her. Whether she loves you or not, you have to do right by her. If you don't do that, you're not doing according to what the Most High says. You're not part of the covenant. You basically cut yourself off because you have done wickedly and that you have not loved your wife. Mashiach did not turn from us and cast us off. No, he gave his life for us. So when we say that, we acknowledge, oh, Mashiach gave his life for me. He died and bled for the sins of the world. And all these different things. Oh, I was a sinner, and he redeemed me. He told me the truth. He showed me that I had to be obedient to his word. But when, I don't know, sadly, when individuals find uncleanness, like how Pastor Dow says, oh, you can divorce your wife because she's unclean. There's some uncleanness in her. She ain't doing right. She ain't cleaning up like she's supposed to. She ain't listening to you. She's being disobedient. She's slandering you. Put that woman away. That's not how the Most High was. That's not how Mashiach was. He hung, bled, and died for us, so in hopes that we would turn unto him like a woman who recognizes, wow, my husband was actually doing right by me. Let me do right by him. But we as men don't see that same value when it comes to the marriage that we have between our wife. We'll go ahead and divorce the woman that we don't like and marry another woman and act as if I've done nothing wrong. Let's keep going. It says in Hebrews, Abarim, chapter 9. Abarim, chapter 9, verse 18. And it says, whereupon neither the first testament was dedicated without blood. Going back to the blood covenant. For when Moses had spoken every precept to all the people according to the law, he took the blood of calves and of goats with water and scarlet wool and hyssop and sprinkled both the book and all the people. So to put this in perspective, when a man marries a virgin, there is a seal. We all know what it is. There is a seal. The tokens of her virginity have been shown. That's the blood. So the blood has been shed. So basically, once I've made the agreement before all witnesses, and once I've come into my wife, and once the tokens of her virginity are clearly seen that she's been faithful, she's been faithful the entire time, even when we made the agreement during the process of time. Once I stood before her and I said, I'm going to love you and keep you and hold you tight to death do us part. And then once we came together, at that point, the deal is done. It's sealed. The blood has been sprinkled. The blood has been shed. It's sealed. That's your wife. You can't get rid of her all your days. None whatsoever. And people think that divorce of the Most High that he just allows. No. Because the hardness of our hearts, it does not give us license to just do what we want to do. It doesn't give us license to treat our wives any other way, any kind of way, because the Most High does not do that to us. He chastens us. He rebukes us. He does all these things so in one hope that we will repent and change our ways. Let's go back to the marriage covenant. Let's see what else it says. It says, I'm going to go to Shamu chapter 22, Exodus chapter 22. Speaking about the marriage here, in Exodus chapter 22, and I'm going to start at verse 16. And it says, if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. If her father utterly refuse to give her unto him, he shall pay money according to the dowry of virgins. And that's a lot of things that a lot of men, IOIC, GMS, GOCC, all these different camps, even men today. Sadly, men, we will spend more money on a receptionist, more money on the wedding feast and all these different things, more than paying the price that we should give to the wife's father, our wife's father, because that's what we owe. That's the price, the bride price that needs to be paid. This is a law that it commands us to pay what we owe to the father and what he says the value of our daughter is. The value of his daughter is. If he says my daughter is worth in today's money $5,000, that's how much she's worth. She's a virgin. She's worth $5,000. You, as a man in your integrity, just like, let's go to Yahuwah. Let's see what he did in his integrity. Let's go to Bereshit, Genesis chapter 29. Genesis chapter 29. Because sadly, we as men, we're getting our wives cheap. Don't really. I guess they don't see the value of their daughter being a virgin, keeping herself and things of that nature, or they just. I mean, we just don't even see the value of our wives at all either. That's the main issue. because it should be out of our own mouths asking how much is she worth. Because I'm willing to pay whatever price I can pay to get her from you. Let's see that. Let's see what our forefather Yaqub did. Bereshit chapter 29, verse 18. And it says, and Yaqub loved Rachel and said, I will serve you 7 years for Rachel, thy younger daughter. And Laban said, it is better that I give her to you than that I should give her to another man. Abide with me. And Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed unto him but a few days, for the love he had to her. To Laban, give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go in unto her. So he paid the price. He said, I'll work for you 7 days. 7 years. Oof. He said, I'll work for you 7 years. And so what is the issue that we're having now? Today, men don't do that. We as men don't do that. We are not willing. We don't say in our own community, as much as we say we abide by this law, this is important to know. And I urge every man to do this, because we owe this to our wives. We owe however much the father, whether he's a sinner, because Laban was a sinner right here. Out of our own integrity as men of righteousness, we owe what is worth our wife is. We owe that to the father or to whoever's next of kin. We owe this, because the fact is that our wife, the purchasing of our wife always counted as a price. There was always a price to be paid. We can't just look at Adam and say, we just need to say bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, and let me sleep with you. No. That's not how this works. That's fornication. The idea is that I'm respectfully, as a man, I'm coming to the father, and I'm saying, I want to marry your daughter. How much do I need to owe you to buy her from you? Because now she becomes your possession, because you have purchased her, and you're a man of integrity. You've shown yourself that I'm willing to buy her from you. How much is she worth? And you pay that price, because if you love her, that's how much you're willing to pay. But sadly, we're not willing to do that. Mashiach paid the price. He paid the price in his own blood. He was willing to give his life for us. But we're not willing to give our lives for our wives. And it shows, because when we don't do what's right, to them, we're definitely not doing anything. Definitely not doing anything pleasing to the Most High. It's impossible. It's impossible, because we're forsaking the covenant that we've made to our own wife. That was our word. But we're not men of integrity. So let's go to. Let's keep going down to the marriage. Let's go to, let's go right back to the blood covenant. Let's see what the blood covenant shows on how we are supposed to be to the Most High. And it says in 1 Corinthians chapter 11, 1 Corinthians chapter 11, I'm going to just do 1 through 3. It says, be you followers of me, even as I also am of Mashiach. Now I praise you, brethren, that you remember me in all things and keep the ordinances as I deliver them to you. But I will have you know that the head of every man is Mashiach, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Mashiach is Yah. So this is important to know, that Mashiach is the head over us. And so when he said that I'm going to purchase us, when he said that he was going to purchase us with his blood, that's what he did. He gave his life. He shed his blood for us. That was the price he paid, to bring us back into the bond of the covenant, so that we could be renewed, and that the works that we did was unto righteousness and not dead works. And that's the part that a lot of people miss. Bleedo himself. That's the issue that people miss, that this relationship has to be like a marriage. You have to see yourself as a man. You have to see yourself, in a sense, the way Eve saw herself to her husband. You have to look at Mashiach as, here's your husband. I have to love him. I have to respect him. I have to honor him. I have to be obedient and faithful. And if I'm not, then there's no way that I'm doing anything right by him. That's the purpose of this blood covenant, that when we said we're going to do everything that the Most High commanded us to do, that was the purpose. That was literally the test. It testified and it showed you made a bond with me. This was the testimony. This was showing that you made a bond with me. Why did you not keep it? Why did you not show yourself faithful? Why didn't you show yourself faithful? Let's go to Ezekiel, Yahuwah, chapter 16. Going back to the marriage. Yahuwah, chapter 16, 1 through 14. And it says, again, the word of Yahuwah came unto me, saying, Son of man, call Jerusalem to know her abominations, and say, Thus says Yahuwah Elohim unto Jerusalem, Thy birth and thy nativity is of the land of Canaan. Thy father was an Amorite, and thy mother an Hittite. And as for thy nativity, in the day that thou wast born, thy navel was not cut, neither was thou washed in water to supple thee. Thou was not salted at all, nor slaughtered at all. None I pitied you to do any of these unto you, to have compassion upon you, but thou wast cast out in the open field, to the loathing of thy person in the day that thou wast born. And when I passed by you and saw you polluted in thy own blood, I said unto you, when thou wast in thy blood, live. Yea, I said unto you, when thou wast in thy blood, live. I have caused you to multiply as the bud of the field, and thou hast increased and waxen great, and thou art come to excellent ornaments. Thy breasts are fashioned, and thine hair is grown, whereas thou wast naked and bare. Passed by you, I looked upon you, behold, thy time was the time of love, and I spread my skirt over you, and covered thy nakedness. Yea, I swear unto you, and entered into a covenant with you, says Yahuwah Elohim, and thou becamest mine. So we have individuals who say, oh, you know, the Most High has forsaken Yasharal, or the Most High has forsaken Yasharal. It's the Gentiles' turn now. Or that just like ML, messenger of lies, has said, you know, Mashiach is going to marry a Gentile bride. Again, going back to the blood covenant and going back to the marriage covenant, impossible. It's insane. It's blasphemy. It is unbiblical. The reason why we know this is because of how did the Most High look at Yasharal in the very beginning, and then when he saw that the time for Yasharal came a time for Yasharal to become the nation that it became, and he saw them being multiplied, them increasing, and them waxing great by his power, and all of these things, he decided then, boom, I'm going to make a covenant with you. You are mine. No other nation received anything like that. No other nation experienced anything like that. No other nation had nothing compared to that. Yet, when we broke it, again, how did the Most High look at us? He saw us as a woman who literally departed from her husband and was not faithful. And it goes back to us men. We expect our wives to be faithful, but we're not faithful to them. It goes back to us as men. We expect our wives to be to submit, but we won't submit to the Most High. Neither shall we submit to them. We are not. I'm not saying for a man to like bow down and be like, oh, you know, I'm just gonna let you. Like, no. Submit in a sense that when your wife requests something and she's in meekness and humility, and it's nothing against the word of the Most High, why won't you fulfill the request? Why do you see complaints? Why do you seek to complain and act as if, you know, you don't have to do anything for your wife? We get things messed up. We get things really messed up. Even when brothers on the streets are reading from the law, they forget in the additions of Esther, in the additions of Esther in the Apocrypha, even the Gentile Hasuerus or Artaxerxes, whoever he was, even when he saw Esther in a broken state, in a humble state, it said the Most High moved his heart to be compassionate and merciful towards her. That's what I mean by submission. Compassionate and merciful. But we're so quick that as soon as our wife doesn't do anything that we want them to do, just like what Dow says, if she ain't listening to you, put her away. She back talking, put that woman away. She got uncleanness in her, put her away. That's not how the Most High works. That's not how this blood covenant works. The covenant that was made stayed within Yahshua. It did not go to any other nation. It did not go to any other people, which means the Most High remained as a man to his word, faithful in all that he said he would do. He said to all the families of the nations, only you have I known. And it's the same thing that goes back to Adam and Kuwa, Adam and Eve. It was her that Adam only knew. He didn't know nobody else. There was nobody else. It was her. Going back to Ezekiel chapter 16, verse 8. And it says, now when I passed by you and looked upon you, behold, that time was the time of love, and I spread my skirt over you and covered thy nakedness. Yea, I swear unto you and enter into a covenant with you and say, Yahuwah Elohim, and thou becamest mine. Let's go to another precept. Let's go to Ruth. Let's go to Ruth chapter 3. Ruth chapter 3. Now, I'm going to show, this is the key here. This is what's interesting. We all know that Ruth is a Moabitess. She's getting instructions from Naomi on what she should do. Let's start at verse 1. Then Naomi, her mother-in-law, said unto her, my daughter, shall I not seek rest for you, that it may be well with you? And now was not Boaz of our kindred. Focus on that. Is not Boaz of our kindred, with whose maidens thou wast? Behold, he winnoweth barley tonight in the threshing floor. So he tells her to put on the things that she needs to put on, to wash herself, to get ready, basically to follow her instructions. Now going down to verse 9, because this is the main part, because Boaz is near kinsman. And it says in verse 9, and he said, who art thou? And she answered, I am Ruth, thine handmaid. Spread therefore thy skirt over thine handmaid, for thou art a near kinsman. Focus on that. Focus on that for a second. Thou art near kinsman. Spread thy skirt over thine handmaid, for thou art near kinsman. What does that mean? Let's go to Bereshit. Excuse me. Let's go to Bereshit chapter 20. Yeah, Bereshit chapter 20, verse 16. And it says, and unto Sarah, he said, this is Abimelech talking, and unto Sarah he said, behold, I have given thy brother 1,000 pieces of silver. Behold, he is to thee a covering of the eyes unto all that are with you, and with all other, thus she was reproved. I'm gonna focus on the last part, on the last half of that verse. He said, he is to you a covering of the eyes unto all that are with you, and with all other, thus she was reproved. Going back to Ruth, chapter 3, verse 9, she said unto Boaz, put thy skirt over thine handmaid, for thou art near kinsman. I'm getting a little excited. Hold on. The Most High. This is the most interesting thing about this. The Most High, what He is, and this is why MOL is wrong in the aspect of why the Most High could ever marry a Gentile wife, why Mashiach can marry a Gentile wife at all. It is impossible. He will never choose another nation. Never. The only nation he's marrying is Yahshua. You got Gentiles, individual Gentiles like Ruth, Rahab, Uriah the Hittite. All these people can join in and join in, just like the strangers can join in and partake of the covenant that belongs to the nation. But notice, he picked one nation, and that was the 12 tribes of Yahshua. When we go to 1 Corinthians, actually, let's go back. Again, going back to 1 Corinthians, because we're talking about the covering. We're talking about what it is. 1 Corinthians. And this is mainly to the women too, because I know some sisters don't understand this. Some women don't want to abide by this. But this is what the Most High said out of the mouth of Shaul. And I understand people don't like Shaul. But it's irrelevant because this is the issue. In 1 Corinthians 11, it says, I'm going to start at verse 3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Mashiach, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Mashiach is Yahuwah. Verse 4. And every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonors his head. So we as men, we don't cover our heads. We don't. The covering is Mashiach himself. But verse 5, it says, but every woman that prays or prophesies with her head uncovered dishonors her head, for that is even all as one if she were shaven. For if the woman be not covered, again, going back to Ruth, she wanted the skirt, the covering, to be put upon her. Abraham was like a covering for his wife. The covering for his wife does not represent, my husband is my covering. No. Women, you wives, all y'all that are married, all of y'all that are seeking for a husband, put a covering over your head. Put a covering over your head. The reason why is because it's a representation of the head of your house, as well as the head over you, which is Mashiach. Women who have their heads uncovered dishonor their head. Men who do have their heads covered, if you're wearing a hat, if you're wearing a hoodie, you got the hood on you, basically, and you're praying and prophesying with your hood on you, you're dishonoring your head. Verse 6, for if the woman be not covered, let her also be shorn. Let her hair be cut off. But if it be a shame for a woman to be shorn or shaven, let her be covered. So if it's a shame for you to walk around bald-headed, women cover the glory that is upon your head, because you are covered with a covering. That's what your hair, it needs to be covered, because the power that is on your head is your hair. But that glory needs to be covered, because when you're with a husband, when you have a husband, he is your covering. He is the head. So you, as a representation, you put a covering over your head. Let's look at precepts of that. Let's go to Bamidbar, Numbers, chapter 5. Because this goes right back to marriage. This goes right back to marriage. It goes right back to the blood covenant. If Mashiach is the head over us as men, then who's the head over the women? The man. Bamidbar, chapter 5, Numbers, chapter 5, verse 18. And it says, pertaining to the law of the jealousy offering. And it says, verse 18, or let me start at verse 17. And the priest shall take holy water in an earthen vessel, and of the dust that is in the floor of the tabernacle, the priest shall take and put it into the water. And the priest shall set the woman before Yahuwah, and uncover what? Uncover the woman's head, and put the offering of memorial in her hands, which is the jealousy offering, and the priest shall have in his hand the bitter water that causes the curse. So does that mean her hair gets cut off? No. That means she had a covering on. She had a covering on because she was married. She was married to her husband, and she's showing the representation of that covering over her head. Abraham was a covering for Sarah. Her head was covered. Because he was married to Sarah, he was the block. He was the person that stood before any person who laid their eyes upon Sarah. He was the covering for the eyes. To any man that would look upon her, he was the covering. That's why he says, thus she were reproved. The point of this is to show that the women of old had a covering on. Because if the husband said, okay, I think my wife has cheated on me, okay, she needs to go before the priest. And the priest is going to perform basically the offering for jealousy. Okay, this is what happens for the jealousy offering. The woman is coming before the Most High. She's standing before the Most High. She has to uncover. The priest has to uncover her head because she's been accused of adultery. The whole purpose of that is to show, again, we as men got to get in control of our house, not to abuse the wife, not to cause any harm to our wives, not to treat our wives as slaves, but to show mercy and compassion and to show that we are the covering for our wives, just as Mashiach is the covering for us. And if our wives have enough meekness and enough self-respect to the Most High, not just to us, but to the Most High even more so, then they're willing to cover their heads, to be in obedience, not only to their husbands, but unto the Most High. Because they have to put a covering over their heads to represent, I am a bride of this man. I am taken. Therefore, I am covered. I'm not going to show my glory, which is the hair, the beautiful hair on your head, the glorious crown, the glorious Natsari crown upon your head. I'm not going to show that to anyone else but to my husband. And we as men understand if we're looking at Mashiach, he's the head over us. So therefore, I'm not going to cover my head because that's a shame. I'm not going to do that because I'm in a covenant with Mashiach. I love him. I care for him. So as a man, I'm going to be obedient. I'm going to do what he commands me to do. That's the main focal point, because every time we talk about this blood covenant, every time we talk about, oh, I'm of Yasharal, I'm this, and every time you partake in anything that these camps do, they don't understand marriage at all. Dow doesn't understand marriage. MOL doesn't understand marriage. These camps don't understand marriage. And these Christians definitely don't understand marriage, because if they did, they will understand that when a man mistreats his wife, if a man says, I've cut this covenant with you, I basically made a covenant that would say, death to us part. I've made this covenant with you. I've married you. And you turn around and divorce that woman, whether it's 20 years, 30 years, 50 years later, and you gave her a bill of divorce because you just got sick of her and you wanted somebody else. You wanted another wife, or you wanted something like this. Or she not cleaning enough. She not loving you enough. She not doing this. She's cheated on you 500 times. You as a man are not a man of the Most High. Not at all. Not at all. It is impossible, because if you're not keeping that covenant, just as the Most High kept the covenant with you, and he did not go to any other nation, He only went to the nation of Yahshua and he made a covenant with them. And if you're not willing to keep the covenant with your wife, and you seek to get another wife, or you seek to even get to divorce your wife and get and lay with another one, you're in adultery, and she's in adultery. She's sleeping with somebody else too. The Most High is not an adulterer to marriage. Let's look at that. Romans chapter 1. Again, this is why people hate Paul. Excuse me, not Romans chapter 1. Romans chapter 7, verse 1. This is why a lot of people hate Paul. I understand. A lot of people just hate Paul because of that. Romans chapter 7, verse 1, going back to the marriage covenant. And it says, "Know ye not, brethren, for I speak to them that know the law." So all these camps, including thou, all these camps and thou, and all these other brothers say they know the law. How that the law has dominion over a man as long as he lives. So we all know that we're supposed to keep the law, correct, brothers? Yep. That's right. For the woman which has an husband is bound by the law to her husband so long as he lives. But if the husband be dead, she is loose from the law of her husband. So then if while her husband lives, she be married to another man, she shall be called an adulteress. But if her husband be dead, she is free from the law, so that she is no adulteress, though she be married to another man. Interesting. So that would mean that if any man were to leave his wife and marry somebody else, it's not legitimate. You're an adulterer. So a lot of you men that basically said, well, I can't be a man of one woman. Then don't sit here and talk about no Edomite, no Hittite, no Perizzite, no Hivite. Don't talk about any of them. Because if you think that you can just say, oh, I want another wife, let me get 4 or 5 of them. All you men. That's the main culprit. All you men. If you believe that, then don't get mad and get frustrated and get irritated when these Christians say, well, he's married to us also. Mashiach married the Horite, the Hittite, the Perizzite, the Canaanite. He married the Egyptian. He married all of them. He's got more than one wife too. But see, they won't. Why? Because they know that's a blasphemous statement. They know that's a wicked statement. They know that's a lie. We all know as brothers that's a lie. So why is it that we don't treat our wives the same way? I don't want to have no other wife but you. I don't want to have no other woman but you. I'm going to be faithful to no other woman but you. We can't seem to do that. Our attention span is we want to be like David. Oh, my concubines, come to me. Come to me, all you concubines. Your king is here. And then want to talk about the Edomite not having a relationship with the Most High. What's with the hypocrisy? The blood covenant and the marriage covenant is the exact same. You married a woman, you're faithful to that woman. You stay with her, she stays with you. If she leaves you, if she departs from you for whatever reason, if she gets sick of you, if she wants to kill you, if she commits adultery on you 7,000 times in one day, if that's possible. If she does anything, if she backtalks, if she curses you till the cows come home, guess what? She's still your wife, still her husband. You can separate. You can go to the state of New York, and she's in the state of California. You can go from Canada, and she can go right back to Timbuktu. Guess what? She's still your wife. And you can't go to anybody else, and she can't go to anybody else. If you do, you're an adulterer. If she does, she's an adulteress. Unless one of you die, you're not escaping from anything. The Most High is going to cast your soul into the lake of fire for your sin because you committed trespass against the covenant that you made with your wife, and you were not faithful. Men and women, this goes for you too. It's the exact same thing. If you say, I'm going to depart from the man that I'm with, because he may be an Edomite. He may be this or that. He's not loving me well enough. He's not good in bed. He's not all these things. He's not, providing for the house. And you depart from him and go to another man, you're an adulteress. You're headed for the lake of fire. Whatever issues you have with your husband, can cry out to the Most High. Do whatever it is that you need to do to reconcile with your husband. But don't you dare say, I'm going to divorce my husband and lay with another man. You're not divorcing anything unless he's dead. That's the only divorce or only out you have. Men, you too. That's the only out you have. That woman needs to either be in the grave, not you killing her and saying that's our divorce. No, because I know sadly, there's some men out here, IUIC, there's some murderers out there. They don't want to talk about nothing. They don't want to deal with that stuff because this is how relationships turn out. Men got to have their integrity in order. If you're not willing to die for this woman, you don't need to have her. If you're not willing to pay the price, you don't need to have her. And women, the same goes for you. If this man is not willing to die for you, if he is not willing to do exactly what Mashiach did for him and you, he doesn't need to have you at all. He does not need to have you at all. Let's go back to the marriage covenant. And it says, chapter 7, verse 4. This is going back to the blood covenant. It says, wherefore, my brethren, you also are become dead to the law by the body of Mashiach, that you should be married to another, even to him, who is raised from the dead, that we should bring forth fruit unto Yah. For when we were in the flesh, the motions of sin, which were by the law, did work in our members to bring forth fruit unto death. See, when we were in our flesh, the only works we could operate and do was in our flesh. It brought only dead works. That was it. Those who sow into the flesh are recorruption. This is why we're having problems in our marriage now. This is why we're having problems with relationships now, because we're doing things after the flesh. We're so quick to say, oh, well, sadly, us men are thinking with our other head that's between our pants, is that we can't focus on the fact that I'm making a lifetime commitment that unless I'm in the dirt and I'm 6 feet under, I have to stay with this woman forever. And if I'm not willing to do that, if I'm willing to not wake up every day and understand, just as the Most High wakes us up in the morning and he rejoices over us when we're doing what's right, when we're walking in righteousness, when we're walking in truth, when we're walking in obedience to him. If I'm not willing to wake up every morning and look at my wife and be grateful that the Most High has given me a good thing and that I've obtained favor unto Yahuwah because of her, we don't realize our prayers are not going to be answered. We don't even realize that the Most High is not hearing anything that we do. He's not looking at any good thing that we're doing. He's saying, when are you going to reconcile back to your wife? When are you going to treat your wife right? When are you going to do right? When are you going to realize that's not your wife, that you're in adultery? When are you going to realize that? So let's look at that. Let's look at how the Most High treats us as a nation, as Yasharal, because you have a lot of Christians who say, oh, it's Yasharal is done. It's the Gentiles' turn. It's our turn now. So let's focus on this aspect right there. Let's go to Yeshayahu, Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 52. I'm going to start at verse 1. It says, awake, awake, put on thy strength, O Zion, put on thy beautiful garments, O Jerusalem, the holy city, for henceforth there shall no more come into you the uncircumcised and the unclean. So all these pork-eating Christians and all these people that don't want to abide in the law, I don't see how you're going to make it in, because you're uncircumcised and you're unclean. You're uncircumcised in the heart and you're definitely unclean because you're eating pork and you're eating shrimp and you're eating all these things that are abominable, and you're doing everything abominable unto the Most High. Shake thyself from the dust, arise and sit down, O Jerusalem. Loose thyself from the bands of thy neck, O captive daughter of Zion. See, we're the ones in trouble. Yasharal is in trouble. Anyway, says Yahuwah, you have sold yourselves for nothing, and you shall be redeemed without money. For thus says Yahuwah Elohim, my people went down aforetime into Mitzrayim to sojourn there, and the Assyrian oppressed them without cause. Now therefore, what have I here, says Yahuwah, that my people is taken away for nothing. They that rule over them make them to howl, says Yahuwah, and my name continually every day is blasphemed. Therefore my people shall know my name. Therefore they shall know in that day that I am he that doeth speak. Behold, it is I. Let's look at that word. What does it mean? Because it says, for thus says Yahuwah, you have sold yourselves for nothing. You shall be redeemed. Because the Most High, we're going to look at that word redeemer. We're going to look at that word redeemer. Because what does that even mean? What does that mean that the Most High is a redeemer? Going back to Ruth, chapter 3, verse 9. She said, thou art near kinsman. Going back to Bereshith, when Yehuda laid with Tamar, again, why was that considered a sin? Why was that considered incest? Because again, it was an incestual thing that he did. It was an incestuous thing that he did because that was his daughter-in-law. And even though she was a widow, when the sons were supposed to go in unto her, one of them died because he didn't want to do it. The second one spilled his seed onto the ground because he said, I know that the children shall not be mine, because he knew he was going to raise seed unto his brother. Okay, so we got to focus on that. What does it mean to be a redeemer? So the Hebrew word for it, 1350, is gall. So that. So the word is gall, which is to redeem according to the Oriental law of kinship, i.e. to be the next of kin, as such, to buy back a relative's property, marry his widow, in any wise at all, avenger, deliver, do or perform the part of near or next kinsfolk, kinsmen, purchase, ransom, redeem, redeemer, revenger. This is what that means. The Most High bought us with a price by sending Mashiach down to pay the price that we are now has become his body, his flesh and blood, bone of his bone, flesh of his flesh. Just as Adam said unto his wife Eve, you are now bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. Mashiach, with his blood, he said, now you are bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh if you abide in me. That's why we know in Romans chapter 8, it says, let's go there, in Romans chapter 8, going back to the blood covenant. This is how we know. This is how we know that when we have a relationship with him. This is what a lot of people don't understand, Bleedo included. When we're talking about the law is not there to be a checklist. It's not there for us to check to see if we're doing righteousness or not. No, the reason why a righteous man is called that is because within himself he loves the Most High so much, abiding in what he knows to do. He's already doing that which is good. Romans chapter 8, verse 1, it says, there is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in Mashiach Yahushua, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Ruach. For the law of the Spirit of life in Mashiach Yahushua has made me free from the law of sin and death. For what the law could not do, in that it was weak through the flesh. Yahuwah sending his own Son in the likeness of sinful flesh, and for sin condemned sin in the flesh, that the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us who walk not after the flesh, but after the Ruach. It says, verse 5, for they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the Spirit, the things of the Spirit. For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Because the carnal man is against Yahuwah, for it is not subject to the law of Yahuwah, neither indeed can be. That's why we're not subject to the law of marriage. Even right now, this is why we're not subject unto the blood covenant. A lot of Christians are not subject to the blood covenant because they don't understand it. They don't understand that it's a marriage covenant that was given to not only a specific people, but even when you say, "Oh, I'm part of the covenant. I'm part of the new covenant." It's not new. It's renewed. It's a renewed covenant because he made the same covenant with his wife. He renewed the covenant through Mashiach. He renewed it because that word "new" is kadash, which means if you look at it, it's renewed. It's renewed because it's with the same people and it's with the same things. It's with the same laws. It's still wrong to go into your wife when she's on her flower. It's still wrong to go into your wife after 40 or 80 days if she delivered a boy or a girl. It's still wrong to go in, to do all these things like to lie, cheat, and steal. That if you steal from your neighbor, you need to pay them back fourfold. That's in the law. You're supposed to keep that. Christians don't understand that. But even in the people in the so-called Hebraic community don't either because they don't see the value in it, just like they don't see the value in their own wives. That's why they miss it. It says, I'm going to read it again. Verse 9, it says, but you are not in the flesh, but in the spirit. For if so, but in the spirit, if so be that the spirit of Yahuwah dwell in you. Now, if any man have not the spirit of Mashiach, he is none of his. So again, this is like the betrothal period. For people who don't understand, this is the time, this is the date that the Most High is setting up. He's saying, okay, I'm already counting. I've already counted who's going to be with me. I've already counted who's bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. Because he's seeing who are the people that actually are going to obey him. He's seeing who are the people who are actually going to obey his covenant, who are going to keep his covenant. Let's look at that. Let's look at we're going to go to Malachi chapter 2, because we're going to look at a broken marriage, a broken covenant. How does the Most High view when his covenant is broken and when a marriage is broken? How does he view that? Is it one and the same? Is he viewing it as the same thing? Because if he is, then that means us as men, we're not doing right by the Most High if we're not keeping the covenant that we made toward our wife. It doesn't matter how many covenants you make towards 7 women. First one is the only one that is your wife. That first one is your wife. You can say, I divorced my first wife, and I married this one, and I married that one, and I married this other. That's not how the Most High views it. He said you made a covenant with one. One. Malachi chapter 2. Malachi chapter 2, and I'm going to skip. It says 2, verse 14 through 16. Yet you say, wherefore? Yet you say, wherefore? Because Yahuwah has been witness between you and the wife of thy youth, against whom thou hast dealt treacherously, yet is she thy companion and the wife of thy covenant. And did not he make one? I'm going to be like David. I'm going to have 500 concubines. I'm going to be like Yakub. He had 4 wives. I'm going to be like that. If it ain't wrong for him, it ain't wrong for me. And did not he make one? How many wives did Adam have? 1. How many wives does Mashiach have? 1. And people don't see that. If Mashiach is greater, than Moses, and we know this. I know the Toranites or the Torah individuals don't accept that, but we know that Mashiach is greater than Moses. So in the beginning, Adam had one. If he had one, what makes you think you can have more than one? And just so we know, this is just a side note, and just so people know, if you look back at the burial site that all the patriarchs had, if you look back at the burial site, if you look at every patriarch, okay, Abraham had married Sarah. He also married Hagar, and he also married Keturah. If you go and look at if you go and read the scriptures, just pay attention. If you read the scriptures, which one of the wives of Abraham was buried with Abraham? Sarah. Hagar was not buried with Abraham, and neither was Keturah buried with Abraham. None of those women, even though they married Abraham, was buried with him. Only one had the right to be buried next to her husband, and that was Sarah. Same thing with Isaac. Same thing with Jacob. Leah was buried with Jacob. All his other wives, quote unquote, well, they were his wives, excuse me. All his other wives were not. Because only one has the right to be buried next to her husband. One. Not all of them. One. And that goes the same for all of the patriarchs. Only one. The first one that married the patriarch had the right to be buried with their husband. Period. I'm going to read verse 15 again. It says, and did not he make one? Yet had he the residue of the Spirit, and wherefore one, that he might seek a godly seed. Therefore take heed to your spirit, and let none deal treacherously against the wife of his youth. For Yahuwah, the Elohim of Yashar, says that he hates putting away, for one covers violence with his garment, says Yahuwah of hosts. Therefore take heed to your spirit that you deal not treacherously. See, instead of covering our wives like we're supposed to as men, being the shield, I look at this is the thing. I look at the relationship that we're supposed to have with our wife as a body. Just as the Most High looks at it, when you look at the body, the human body, okay, what is man? Man is the skin and the muscle, because man, the biggest organ that keeps all the diseases, keeps everything from the elements outside from affecting the inner being of the man, is the skin. And the thing that protects your body from the blunt trauma, from the blunt force, is the muscles. The bones is the woman, because she's the support system. She is the one that keeps you standing upright. If you break the bone, you fall. Just as it says in Book of Proverbs and Mashalit, it says that a woman who builds her house is wise, but the foolish woman breaks it down. A foolish woman breaks down her own house. She's the one who breaks it down. The organs are the children, because they are the very reason they come from the very bowels, from your very loins. But they are the very things that you're trying to protect. And the woman encases the children within herself, within her bosom. That's why she's so important to the support system of the house, because she supports her husband and she protects her children. And the man protects both. He protects not only his wife, but he protects his children. But again, when people don't see the value of their wife, they look at the sad reality is that they themselves are devaluing they're devaluing themselves. You're not a worthy bride. You're a harlot. You're a woman who's not worthy to be even married because you don't see the value within yourself. You don't see the value within keeping yourself. I'm talking to the men because the crazy thing is that they expect their wives to be faithful. Again, going back to this, they expect their wives to be faithful. I want a virgin. This is what I want, which is a good thing. But should you not also be a virgin? Should you not also be faithful? Let's say in the moment in your ignorance, you sinned against the Most High. You committed fornication. Okay. Let's say your wife, before you met her, in her ignorance, before she came into the knowledge that she had to be obedient to the Most High, before she understood, okay, I got to be righteous, I got to be a woman of integrity and all these different things. So she started preparing herself for her husband. She already made the mistake where she committed fornication. All right, we understand that. She's still valuable. And you still need to pay a price. You owe a price. And therefore, if you understand that your wife has already done that, she's already she in her foolishness slept with another man. That was not her husband. She committed fornication, and you know this. Don't act all of a sudden like, oh, I found some uncleanness in her. I can put her away. That's not how that works. You made a covenant with her, and you slept with her. You consummated the marriage. You, therefore, by definition, owe that woman your life. You owe your life. Because it's the same way that Mashiach showed how because we committed fornication. And I'm going to show that. Malachi, same chapter, verse 1. Malachi chapter 2, verse 1. It says, now, O you priests, this commandment is for you. If you will not hear and if you will not lay it to heart, to give glory unto my name, says Yahuwah of hosts, I will even send a curse upon you, and I will curse your blessings. Yeah, I've cursed them already, because you do not lay it to heart. Behold, I will corrupt your seed and spread dung upon your faces, even the dung of your solemn feasts, and one shall take you away with it. And you shall know that I have sent this commandment unto you, that my covenant might be with Levi, says Yahuwah of hosts. My covenant was with him of life and peace, and I gave them to him for the fear wherewith he feared me and was afraid before my name. The law of truth was in his mouth, and iniquity was not found in his lips. He walked with me in peace and equity, and did turn many away from iniquity. We're not doing that right now. We're not doing that. We want to claim, oh, I'm Levi. I'm calling myself, I'm Yehuda. I'm Reuben. I'm all these different things. I'm Reuben, I'm Gad, I'm Asher, I'm Naphtali, I'm Manasseh, I'm Ephraim. All these different things, yet we don't even see the value of what we say. When we say we're all these things, but we don't abide in obedience to the Most High, we're nothing. We are literally nothing. We are not worthy to be called men if we're not obedient. If we don't love Mashiach the way a wife should love her husband. But sadly, we've trained our wives to be slaves. We trained our wives to be subservient to everything we do, even when it's wrong. And when our wife has enough common sense, like Sarah, like Rebecca, like Leah, like Rachel, when they have enough common sense to know, wait a minute, something's not right. I should not do that, like Abigail. We therefore turn around and be, a beast that's ravaging our wives, like, I'm going to destroy you, woman. Don't you dare talk back to me. This is the type of ideology that we put through IUIC, GMS, GOCC, all of these different camps. Dow too. All these people ain't doing right. Because when you do this, teach your wife to be subservient, and that when she says, I'm not going to do this because it violates the word of the Most High, and you turn around and say, I want to divorce this woman because she's back-talking me,
she's uncleanness. I found some uncleanness in her. Let me get a bill of divorce and put her away. That is insane. That is insanity. Because how Levi was, to all these brothers who want to claim that they're the lawgiver, that they're of Levi, how Levi was is that he was turning people away from lawlessness. There was a covenant of peace made between him and the Most High. And you've broken it by being disobedient unto his word. But not seeing that you and your wife were supposed to have a set-apart seed. Y'all were supposed to come together. And I'm of the position that us as men, us as brothers, us of the freaking diaspora, those of us who know that we are who are basically Negro. I'll say that just to make it easier, because I don't believe in that 12 tribes nonsense. You're supposed to be a wife of your own kindred, because that's how they viewed it in the scriptures. But if you've already married your Edomite, your Moabite, your Hittite, your Perizzite, whatever, you've made your choice, you've made your bed up, lay in it. And be satisfied with the wife of your youth. Don't act all different now. The only thing you should do now is say, you know what? I made my bed up. I've already done something that, according to the scriptures, I wasn't supposed to do in my ignorance. But now that I've come to the knowledge of the truth, the only thing I could do now is set up my children to obey the ways of righteousness. That's my position. That's what you need to do as a man. That's exactly what Levi did. Let's go to verse 7. It says, for the priest's lips should keep knowledge, and they should seek the law at his mouth. For he is the messenger of Yahuwah of hosts. These Christians don't get it. They don't understand it. They don't want to abide by that. They don't understand it. That's why Christianity is one of the worst things that's happened in our community. Because when you teach people to go contrary to the law, when you teach people to not even have no understanding of what was with Adam and the relationship that he had with his wife, even when she screwed up, he knew it, and he was still willing to lay down his life, and he never departed from his wife. Yet Christianity does not teach that. They do not, and that is one of the reasons why it has been a trap for us, because when it comes to marriage, when it comes to blood covenant, they don't understand it at all. Blames why people in Christianity are willing to say, oh, he's willing to marry a Gentile bride. Right. In their wicked imagination, yeah, he would. But not in this book. He will never do that, because when he is called a redeemer, he is performing that of who is next of kin. He is the kinsman redeemer, which means he's only related to Yasharal. That is his people. He is their Elohim. And so nobody can replace Yasharal. Nobody can replace the nation of Yasharal. We know this as men. We know this who are in the quote-unquote Hebraic community. But the problem is we are the ones who don't see the value in what the Most High has done with us. And we're willing to replace our wives on a whim. We're willing to say, woman, if you don't shut your mouth, I'm gonna button up your lips. We are taking things that we have learned from the outside world, from the carnal world, and put that in our marriage. And then when we try to obey the law according to the flesh, we're partaking in dead works, and we don't realize our relationship with Mashiach is off because we're not treating our wife correctly. Verse 8, and it says, but you are departed out of the way. You have caused many to stumble at the law. You have corrupted the covenant of Levi, says Yahuwah of hosts. Therefore have I also made you contemptible and base before all the people, according as you have not kept my ways, but have been partial in the law. That's why Christians have the nerve to even say what they say about Yasharal right now, which sadly is slander. But in a lot of ways, it's the truth. We've allowed IUIC and all these camps to get away with so much junk for so long, Dow too. And on all these other brothers. I respect Amayan in the aspect of this. When I talked to Amiyan in the past about marriage, he's one of the few, one of the very, very rare few that was actually a part of a camp that was clearly against black women, that was clearly against the sanctity of marriage and the beauty of it and what it represented. He is the only the few that actually came out of it, but still does not hold to that. Understands the very definition of what it means. And it means a lifelong commitment from worldly lust to abstain from everything that makes me an adulterer as a man unto Mashiach. What does that mean? I'm sleeping with idols. I'm sleeping with I'm sleeping with carnality. I'm sleeping with pride. I'm sleeping with Jezebel. I'm sleeping with doing fornication. I'm doing lies, stealing, drunkenness, whoremongering, all these different things. That's my adultery unto Mashiach. And how I'm treating my wife is also Mashiach. That's how I'm treating Mashiach right now. I'm being an adulterer because I'm not being faithful to him, because I'm not faithful to my wife. We don't get it. We're not faithful to his word, which is exactly why Bleedo, being in the position that he was when he was in these camps, when he was believing the quote-unquote doctrines that came from these camps, it makes sense. It makes sense because we don't see the word as a relationship. We don't see it as a love letter that was given to us to say, hey, I want to marry you. Do you want to marry me? I do. Okay, well, we're going to set a time. When I come back, we're going to set a time. When I come back, we're going to consummate this marriage before many witnesses. Pay the price. I pay the price of my blood. Now you're mine. Let's keep reading. It says in verse 10, have we not all one Father? Has not one Elohim created us? Why do we deal treacherously every man against his brother by profaning the covenant of our fathers? Verse 11 of Malachi chapter 2. Yehuda has dealt treacherously, and an abomination is committed in Yasharal and in Jerusalem. For Yehuda has profaned the holiness of Yahuwah, which he loved, and has married the daughter of a strange God. Yahuwah will cut off the man that does this, the master and the scholar, out of the tabernacles of Jacob, and him that offers an offering unto Yahuwah of hosts. And this have you done again, covering the altar of Yahuwah with tears, with weeping, and with crying out, insomuch that he regards not the offering anymore, or receives it with goodwill at your hand. I know Day of Atonement is coming up. For some people, it's probably already passed, depending on what, depending on what calendar they're using. It doesn't matter. The Most High will correct us. But anyway, Day of Atonement is coming up. And all the affliction of our souls, all the crying and weeping that we're going to be doing ain't going to matter a lick. It's not going to matter to nothing. Nothing. Not one thing. Until we understand the relationship that we're supposed to have with Mashiach. And our wives, the wives, to all you women out there, you're already in the position where you understand, I am meek, I am humble. My position is, my desire should be towards my husband, that he should rule over me. You already know that is your position. The advice is you maintain that position. Don't change. Don't act different. Don't try to be that individual to say, I'm going to be a Jezebel. I'm going to put makeup on my face. I'm going to put jewelry and ornaments on my hair. That's not how you come to the Most High. And that's not how you should appear to another man at all. Shamefacedness. That means every part of you should be bare. Your face, bare. Those ornaments, your earrings, all of that junk needs to be taken off, because the Most High is looking at the meekness and humility of a woman. If you're not willing to come to the Most High, shamefacedness, humble, meek, quiet, willing to abstain from all fleshly lusts and all these different things, worthy to say that you are the bride of Mashiach. You cannot. You cannot, by definition, do that. It is wrong. It is a sin for you to go around out in public saying, I basically represent my husband by putting makeup on my face, by putting gold and jewelry on my body. That's not how the man is. Because the Most High told the man doesn't have makeup. The man doesn't have jewelry and all these different things on his body. He should not. He shouldn't. Because the Most High wants us to be meek and humble and to understand that we are his treasure. We are not supposed to put treasure upon our bodies. We are his treasure. And he is the one who's going to give us a crown. He is the one who's going to put gold and silver upon us, not we ourselves. That's not how this works. Because the very things that we use to glorify ourselves, whether it's men or women, the very things we use to glorify ourselves have always been a snare to us every single time, and we have been seen as harlots. That's what harlots do. Any man who knows what the red light district is when he's been on to his city knows this is exactly what harlots do. It's exactly what harlots do. So let's keep going. Let's look at that. So we see that the covenant that has been made by our fathers, we are the children of our fathers. We have transgressed the covenant. We've done worse than our fathers. We need to get back. We need to understand our husband has departed from us. We need to cry out. We need to repent. We need to change our ways. We need to seek after the Ruach HaKodesh so that spirit of Mashiach can be in us and so that we can cry out and say, now you are our Elohim and we are your people. We are your people. Let's go to Davarim, chapter 22. So a broken marriage. This is how a broken marriage looks like. Davarim, chapter 22. Verse 13, and it says, if any man take a wife and go in unto her and hate her and give occasions of speech against her and bring up an evil name upon her and say, I took this woman and when I came to her, I found her not a maid. Then shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city in the gate, and the damsel's father shall say unto the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hates her. And lo, he has given occasion of speech against her, saying, I found not thy daughter a maid, and yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity, and they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city, and the elders of that city shall take that man and chastise him, and they shall immerse him in 100 shekels of silver, and give them unto the father of the damsel, because he has brought up an evil name upon a virgin of Yasharal, and she shall be his wife. He may not put her away all his days. Sadly, I think some brothers know this. They know this, and I'm just gonna say this. This is a feeling. Okay, I'll just say this. My opinion, my feeling is I think that a lot of men try to loophole this and basically find women that they know are not virgins and try to do the exact same thing. Dow, in his congregation, because I'm not going to call him a pastor, and if I did, I'll repent for saying that. Dow, in his ministry, does things exactly like this. The woman could be a virgin or she could be not. The men know this. But as soon as the woman, whether she gets uppity or does even if she's not uppity, even if she's humble to the utmost degree, let's say she was so busy, in a sense like my wife. My wife gets so busy reading the word, studying, praying unto the Most High, she forgets sometimes that it's I don't know. She loses track of time. It could be 10 o'clock, and she just now making dinner. I'm hungry. I want dinner at like 7 o'clock. Whatever. All the man has to do is just say, you know, woman, I'm getting tired of you doing this to me. You've done this multiple times. You need to get off your butt. Stop reading that word and do what you're supposed to be doing in this house. Da, 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 da. And then it could be to the point, he'd be like, you know what, I'm tired of this. You keep doing this. I'm going to look for somebody else. You out of here. I'm giving you a bill of divorce. You out. Get out of my face. I found some uncleanness in you. Get out of my face. This is the type of stuff that I'm getting sick and tired of looking at, and I'm getting sick and tired of quote unquote men who are supposed to be shepherds of the flock, who call themselves shepherds of the flock, are doing. They are violating the Torah. They are taking away the everlasting covenant, because the thing is, your marriage that you've given unto the Most High, when you told your wife what you said you would do for her and what she said she would do for you, is binding. Just like the blood of the covenant is binding. The Most High never, not one time, rejected his people. We know this based on Romans chapter 10. We know this based on the fact that even when he said, I gave Yasharal a bill of divorce and put her away, he said, I'm still married unto you. And he did not go into this quote unquote church full of Gentiles that eat pork and shrimp, that don't care nothing about his law. This is exactly why it says the man will not put her away all his days, because he's talked about a virgin. Now all of a sudden, you know, men try to loophole this and say, well, she wasn't a virgin and she cheated on me. What about that? Doesn't it say I can divorce her? No, not at all. Not at all. But let's look at this. Chapter 24 of Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 1. When a man has taken a wife and married her, and it comes to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, because he has found some uncleanness, okay? That word uncleanness is shame. You basically have found her to be shameful, or you basically found her to be lacking in something. She's not as glorious as you thought. Like, after 20 years of marriage, woman, you're not as glorious as you used to be. I think I need a younger woman. Something like that. That's uncleanness in this regard. It's not talking about, oh, she just, you know, it's whatever. Just like Dow wants to bring out, it's whatever from Monday to Sunday they feel like it. Whatever uncleanness it could be. This is what they want to. This is what they think it is. It says in her, then let him write her a bill of divorce, a divorcement, and give it in her hand, and send her out of his house. And when she is departed out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife. And if the latter husband hates her and write her a bill of divorcement and gives it in her hand and sends her out of his house, or if the latter husband die, which took her to be his wife, her former husband which sent her away may not take her again to be his wife. After that she is defiled, for that is abomination before Yahuwah. And thou shalt not cause the land to sin, which Yahuwah thy Elohim gives you for an inheritance. So this is what the law says. To all the people in the camps listening, to all the people in the audience listening, to all the Christians listening, this is what the law says. Question: did the Most High say something similar to this? I'm pretty sure he did. Let's go to that. Let's go to Jeremiah. Let's go to that. Because we're talking about broken marriage, broken blood covenant. The covenant. All the Christians, every time we say, "Oh, we're of Yasharal. We are of Yasharal. We are of the literal seed of Yasharal." Why do you want to be Yasharal? They was this. They was that. They was killing their own children. They was disobedient. All these different things. That's true. That is so very true. That is very true. But guess what? He still made a covenant with those people, stiff-necked, hard-hearted. He still made a covenant with them, and he wanted them to repent. He never made a covenant with people who are walking in today's Christianity. Not one of them. Not one. The reason why is because they know they don't have a covenant with the Most High if they're not keeping His commandments. They don't have a covenant with the Most High because they're not bone of His bone, flesh of His flesh. It never existed. He didn't make no covenant with any other people. The law even says that the man can divorce his wife and the woman can be with another man because he wrote her a bill of divorce and sent her out of his house. She can be with another man. And even if that man writes her a bill of divorcement or if he dies, the former cannot marry his wife because it's defiling. That's an abomination. It's not right. It's disgusting. You shouldn't do that. But guess what? Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 2, 1-6, because I want Christians to keep understanding that as much as you hate every single time people in the quote-unquote Hebraic community are saying they're of the seed of the little Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you can hate all you want to. You could talk about the wickedness that Yahshua has done all you want to. The fact is you're still speaking against the bride of Mashiach. At least the bride pertains to the righteous people. The righteous one who are obeying the commandments and keeping the testimony of Mashiach. To those who are disobedient, they're not of the bride. It doesn't matter how much they yell out, I'm of Jacob, I'm of Isaac, and I'm of Abraham. It doesn't matter how much they call themselves sons of the Most High. It doesn't matter. So Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 1, it says, moreover, the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, go and cry in the ears of Jerusalem, saying, thus says Yahuwah, I remember you, the kindness of your youth, the love of thine espouses, when thou wentest after me in the wilderness, in a land that was not sown. Yahshua was holiness unto Yahuwah, and the first fruits of his increase. All that devour him shall offend. Evil shall come upon them, says Yahuwah. Hear you the word of Yahuwah, O house of Jacob, and all the families of the house of Yahshua. Thus says Yahuwah, what iniquity have your fathers found in me, that they are gone far from me, and have walked after vanity, and are become vain. Neither said they, where is Yahuwah, that brought us up out of the land of Mitzrayim, that led us through the wilderness, through a land of deserts and of pits, through a land of drought and of a shadow of death, through a land that no man passed through, and where no man dwelt. So we're not even crying out to the Most High. We're not even crying out to the Most High. This is what's sad. Going back to Ezekiel chapter 16, talking about Yahshua as a nation, when he put his skirt over us, when he made that covenant with us, and he said, you are mine. We have not truly cried out unto him. And we have dealt treacherously unto our wives and unto the Most High. We committed a double transgression by doing this. Going to the next chapter, chapter 3, verse 1, it says, they say, if a man put away his wife and she go from him and become another man, shall he return unto her again? Shall not that land be greatly polluted? But thou hast played the harlot with many lovers, yet return again to me, says Yahuwah. See, he didn't go after nobody else. He remained faithful. He still cried out to his people to return back unto him. And yet we won't do that when it comes to the covenant that we made with our wife. We're so quick to give her a bill of divorcement, and then not realizing that the Most High, when he gave Yahshua a bill of divorcement, he still said, even when you play the harlot against me, Yehuda did the same thing. Even when you play the harlot against me, I'm still willing and able, and I still want you to repent and still come back to me. I'm still willing to open up my heart towards you again and still accept you as my wife. I'm still willing to reconcile back unto you. Why is it that we won't do the same, man? Why is it that we have so forgotten that just because, when I married this woman, it was when I was a Christian. It was when I was an idolater. It was when I didn't know the truth. I didn't realize I was a Hebrew then. I became a Hebrew now, so now it does apply. It was a mistake to marry this woman. She's a Jezebel. She's a harlot. She's done this. She's done that. The Most High said, again, this goes back to Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 4. He said, it says, they say if a man put away his wife and she go from him and become another man, shall he return unto her again? Shall not that land be greatly polluted? But thou hast played the harlot with many lovers, yet return again to me, says Yahuwah. See, even he's not breaking his own law. This is the issue that people get. If they were going by the law verbatim, the Most High is breaking his own. But what they fail to realize is that he's going by the principle of the covenant that he made. He cannot go to any other nation. He cannot marry no Gentile, no Hittite, no Edomite, no Horite, no Jebusite. He cannot go to any other nation and make a covenant with him based on the principle. He cannot do it. Based on his word alone, he cannot do it. He won't. And yet, when it comes to us, when we're supposed to represent the Most High, when we are men, when we are when we understand that we're supposed to walk as Mashiach walked, and we're supposed to represent Him, why is it that we forget? It's in our word. We cannot reject who our wife is, who the wife of our youth is. Why do we fail to realize that no matter how much our wife supposedly does not do right in the house, even if she plays the harlot, even if she's gone out and she's married another man and she's had children by him and stuff like that, guess what? She's still your wife. That marriage is invalid. She's still your wife. You're going to be single for the rest of your life. Enjoy it. Be happy. Be happy because you have more time to spend with the Most High. But don't forget, that's still your wife. And as long as she lives, you cannot go with anybody else. You better not even think about going to anybody else. If you even think about it, you're an adulterer. If you even go to a single woman's house, the idea of it, even the very idea of you going to a single woman's house and you know you're married, you know you're married. Your wife is out there living her own life, doing her own thing. You know you're married. Don't even think about it. Don't even think about it. Don't even think about it. It's a sin against you already. It's a sin against you already. Don't even think about it. You better let that woman know, oh, I'm still married. I can't go in there. I'm sorry. No. If you even look at a woman lustfully, you're an adulterer. If you're even in the same room, and let's say you just, both of y'all took your clothes off, didn't do nothing, you're still going into the lake of fire. Both you and her, still going to the lake of fire. Y'all didn't do nothing, still going to the lake of fire. The fact that you even have a thought in your head, you better wake up and apologize and repent real quick to the Most High. That's how it is. It's cutthroat. It is very cutthroat. But that's how the Most High is with us. It is very cutthroat. Any person that spoke against Yahshua, even when it was the truth that we departed from the Most High, guess what? He still punished them. He judged them. And he showed, don't you ever talk about my wife. I know she's this. I know she's all these things. Don't you talk about her. Better not talk about my wife. He made the nations to do it just so he can judge them for doing it. Don't you talk about my wife. I know she slept with you. Don't you even think about it. I'm going to kill you. You know, slept with my wife, I'm going to kill you, and I'm going to kill anybody else that has spoken against my wife, that has abused my wife, that has even thought to do anything against my wife, he's going to kill them. So all these Christians who are saying these blasphemous statements that he's dealing with the Gentiles now, he's going to destroy a whole lot of them. Spoken blasphemy against the Most High. Let's keep going. Verse 2 of Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 2. It says, lift up thine eyes unto the high places and see where thou hast not been lying with. In the waves hast thou sat for them as the Arabian in the wilderness, and thou hast polluted the land with thy whoredoms and with thy wickedness. Therefore the showers have been withholden, and there has been no latter rain. And thou hast a whore's forehead, thou refusest to be ashamed. I'm going to skip down to verse 6. Yahuwah says, also unto me in the days of Josiah the king, hast thou seen that which backsliding Yahshua has done? She has gone up upon every high mountain and under every green tree, and there has played the harlot. And I said, after she has done all these things, turn thou unto me, but she returned not. And her treacherous sister Yehuda saw it. And I saw, when for all the causes whereby backsliding Yahshua committed adultery, I had put her away and given her a bill of divorce. Now this says he gave her a bill of divorce. This clearly says that. I'm not taking that away. He clearly gave her a bill of divorce. Yet her treacherous sister, Yehuda, feared not, but went and played the harlot also. And it came to pass through the lightness of her whoredom that she defiled the land and committed adultery with stones and with stocks. So our disobedience playing the harlot unto Mashiach, unto the Most High. So the same way we view our wife when we're asking mercy, this is the mindset that we need to have as men. When we're asking mercy and forgiveness unto the unto Mashiach for every sin that we committed, when we transgress and we understand, hey, we've sinned, we committed transgression, we need to repent, we need to change our ways. Let that same mercy, let that same humility be shown to your wife. Let that same meekness and humility that you were trying to get from Mashiach, let that same humility, let that same heart that Mashiach has toward us, that he's willing to forgive us and turn us from our sins, and he's willing to show compassion. We need to have that same heart towards our wife. Not wives, wife. One. Don't you sit here and make a covenant with a woman and you have secret plans to get more women. That's not the will of the Most High at all. Because if it was, he would have had Adam have more than one wife, and he would have had Mashiach have more than one wife. But y'all know it's blasphemy. Y'all know it's wrong to say for any, y'all will condemn, y'all will not even allow it to be out of any individual's mouth, mainly Christians who would say this. Even Jewish people would say that, oh, he's married to us. You would not even allow that to continue. And I know you wouldn't, because you would say that that's blasphemy, that's wrong, because we're the people. We're the ones he's married to. We're the ones who have we're the ones who was the one he came down to get redemption, to have forgiveness, to have the covenants, to have the giving of the law. He came to us, not you, us. Have that same mindset. That the only woman that has lain with you, that has been with you, in the wife, which was the wife of your youth, your first wife, the wife that you married and made a covenant with, that be shown, that same fire that's in you, when it comes to how much you're proud of being of the seed of Yahshua, and that you realize how special you are, because we are, that's the truth. The Most High said they have touched the apple of his eye. We're special unto the Most High. No doubt about it. But our wife needs to be the apple of our eye too. We need to see that just as the Most High looks at us as the apple of our eye, we as men need to look at our wife the same way. Nobody needs to touch the apple of my eye. I won't even allow another man to look at my wife in any type of lustful way. I will not allow it for my wife. I do right for my wife. I've humbled myself. I'm in meekness toward the Most High because I want to make sure I'm doing right by my wife just as I'm doing right by the Most High also. And vice versa. Everything I do must represent Mashiach and what he did for the congregation, which is us, which is Yasharal, the 12 tribes of Yasharal. That's what it is. Verse 9, and it says verse 10. And yet for all this, her church's sister Yehuda hath not turned unto me with her whole heart, but faintly, says Yahuwah. And Yahuwah said unto me, the backsliding Yasharal has justified herself more than treacherous Yehuda. Go and proclaim these words toward the north and say, return thou, backsliding Yasharal, says Yahuwah, and I will not cause mine anger to fall upon you, for I am merciful, says Yahuwah, and I will not keep anger forever. Only acknowledge thine iniquity, that thou hast transgressed against Yahuwah thy Elohim, and hast scattered thy ways to the strangers under every green tree, and you have not obeyed my voice, says Yahuwah. Turn, O backsliding children, says Yahuwah, for I am married unto you. And I will take you one of a city and two of a family, and I will bring you to Zion. When are we going to get it? When are we going to get it? I've seen a video of a woman, and it's a sad reality. I've seen a video of a woman, and this is this is a shame. This should put a lot of us men to shame, because it seems like a lot of women have a lot more common sense. Loyal, not beautiful in appearance, but beautiful in their character. Loyal to such a degree, it's ridiculous, because they know the value of marriage. They understand I cannot be with any other man, otherwise I'm an adulteress. There's a woman who literally had to separate from her husband, who's an IUIC. She's making videos right now. Separate from her husband. She was part of IUIC. She thought, I'll just say this: she was married to this guy. This guy was abusing her and was not treating her correctly. And instead of the elders chastising him, beating him down because he is touching a woman of Yasharal who has done nothing but good towards him, that she understands I have to separate from him, because if I do, he might kill me. He might do something it's so abusive, I can't be around that atmosphere. I got to get away. And guess what? She's not with another man. Why is it that we as men don't see that? And why is it that IUIC is willing to escape from that? They're going to go to the lake of fire in gasoline draws because of the wickedness that they have done. The fact that they have allowed those elders, starting from I don't even know the guy's name. I know he has a goatee beard, whatever. From all their chief captains and cape-wearing individuals and all the captains and generals and all of them. All of them are going straight to the lake of fire. Because ain't nobody correcting that congregation. That ain't correcting that. He going to the lake of fire, him and all those who don't even tell the truth. Everybody in GMS, GLCC, and IUIC and all the rest of it. You do stuff like this, you go in the lake of fire. No prayers, none of them will be answered until you reconcile with your wife, until you repent for your wickedness. You are going straight to the lake of fire. That is not coming from me. That's coming straight from the word of the Most High. You're an adulterer. You're going to the lake of fire. You are going to burn. Burn, burn, burn. That's how it's going to be. Because I've been looking at marriage for far too long. Granted, I've only been married for 3 years, a little over 3 years. But I studied marriage for so long because when my parents had a divorce, and when my father married another woman, and my mother married another woman, it was nothing but confusion. Nothing but confusion. Nothing but nonsense. People just, with the hardness of their hearts. Mashiach was correct. Through the hardness of your hearts, Moses wrote you a bill of divorcement. But in the beginning, it was not so. And we have overlooked that. When we try to apply the letter of the law, we don't want to go back to Genesis where Adam had only one wife. We don't want to go back to Genesis where Adam only had his wife and nobody else. We don't want to do it. But it's okay, because, the Most High said, those who have the Ruach of Mashiach, or those who don't have the Ruach of Mashiach, they're none of his. And it shows. It shows. Let's go to Hosea. I'm keeping it in the book. We're talking about broken marriage, broken covenant. We're talking about divorce. We're talking about every excuse that a man has, that through all the scriptures, again, marriage was binding. They knew that. We should know that if we're talking about keeping this law. But the beauty of marriage is that just as, and this is the parts that Bleedo, Christian, MOL, and all the rest of those Christians apologists that need to be apologizing, and all the rest of these brothers don't get, is that just like when you have a relationship with your wife, you don't do a checklist if you're faithful or not. You don't do a checklist when you wake up in the morning saying, have I loved my wife today? I don't know if I have. Let me check that. I need to check to see if I have not committed adultery with my wife. No, I didn't. Okay, I didn't lie to my wife. No, I haven't lied to my wife today. I haven't stolen from my wife today. Did I do? Okay. Yeah, we don't do that. We don't do that. That's not how a relationship works. How a relationship works is that because you love your wife, you know what's good to do, and therefore you do it. That's why Bleedo doesn't understand it. It's a relationship. The law shows the parameters. If you love the Most High, you are going to maintain those parameters. You're not going to go outside them. Most High, because you're my husband and I love you, you told me not to eat these foods. I'm not going to eat them. Most High, because I love you, you told me not to lie, cheat, and steal. Therefore, I'm not going to do that. Most High, because I love you and I care for you, and I'm looking at your law, you told me to do. You told me that it's not okay to sleep with my wife 40 days when we had our firstborn child. So I'm not going to sleep with my wife for 40 days. Well, I actually had a daughter, so I'm speaking for myself. I had a daughter, and even when sadly, when we had our son, before we had our daughter, my son died. He was gone. But even after that, what was interesting is that even the doctor said I can't be with my wife for 40 days. For 40 days, because she had a C-section. I couldn't be with my wife. That goes right back to the law that we're not supposed to even be touching our wives, being near our wives, or anything because it's unclean. Even though she had a C-section and my child died, sadly, it was an unclean thing for me to touch my wife or to be next to my wife. Now, of course, I'm going to comfort my wife. I comforted her. I mean, of course, that would be insane. But the idea is that you're supposed to basically maintain distance. If your child, if you had your firstborn son, you're not supposed to have any type of any type of intimacy with your wife for 40 days. That's not what you're supposed to do. If you have a daughter, you're not supposed to have intimacy with your wife for 80 days. Again, for men who don't care about the Most High's commandments, who care, they'll understand, wait a minute, I'm not supposed to do this, let me not do that. Not because it's a it's a trial. It's like it's a weight on your shoulder, like it's a yoke that's supposed to keep me bound. It's because you love the Most High. It's a relationship. It's doing right by your neighbor. It's doing right by the Most High because He told you not to do it. And therefore, because you care about what He says, you're not going to do it. Getting back to biblical marriage. Going back to biblical marriage. Hosea chapter 1, verse 1. It says, the word of Yahuwah that came unto Hosea the son of Beeri in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Yehuda in the days of Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Yasharal. The beginning of the word of Yahuwah by Hosea. And Yahuwah said to Hosea, go take unto thee a wife of whoredoms. So clearly she was not a virgin. And children of whoredoms, for the land has committed great whoredom, departing from Yahuwah. So basically, we're the whore. Yasharal, us men and women, we're the whore, and we play the whore unto the Most High. Hosea is the representation of the father, and he's marrying a woman of whoredoms. Let's see what he does. So he went into Gomer, the daughter of Diblaim, which conceived and bare him a son. And Yahuwah said unto him, call his name Jezreel, for yet a little while, and I will avenge the blood of Jezreel upon the house of Jehu, and will cause to cease the kingdom of the house of Yasharal. Excuse me. And it says, I'm going to start skip down to verse 10. No, I'm going to keep going. And it says, and it shall come to pass at that day that I will break the bow of Yasharal in the valley of Jezreel. Verse 6, and she conceived again and bare a daughter, and Yahuwah said unto him, call her name Lo-Ruhamah, for I will no more have mercy upon the house of Yasharal, but I will utterly take them away. But I will have mercy upon the house of Yehuda, and will save them by Yahuwah their Elohim, and will not save them by bow, nor by sword, nor by battle, by horses, nor by horsemen. Now when she had weaned Lo-Ruhamah, she conceived and bare a son. Then said Yahuwah, call his name Lo-Ami, for you are not my people, and I will not be your Elohim. Yet the number of the children of Yasharal shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, you are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, you are the sons of the living Elohim. Then shall the children of Yehuda and the children of Yasharal be gathered together. Again, this is who he's talking to, the children of Yehuda and the children of Yasharal. Going back to the covenant, this is the renewed covenant. Going back to the fact that the Most High made a covenant with the nation that he chose, Yasharal, as a whole. He said, they will be gathered together and appoint themselves one head, and they shall come up out of the land, for great shall be the day of Jezreel. Now, this is interesting. Let's go, and we're going to go to chapter 2, continue reading. This is what he says. Say you unto your brethren, Ami, and to your sisters, Ruhamah, plead with your mother, plead, for she is not my wife, neither am I her husband. Let her therefore put away her whoredoms. Man, I can't speak. Let her therefore put away her whoredoms out of her sight, and her adulteries from between her breasts, lest I strip her naked and set her as in the day that she was born, and make her as a wilderness, and set her like a dry land, and slay her with thirst. And I will not have mercy upon her children, for they be the children of whoredoms. For their mother has played the harlot; she that conceived them has done shamefully. For she said, I will go after my lovers that give me my bread and my water, my wool and my flax, mine oil and my drink. Therefore, behold, I will hedge up thy way and make a wall, that she shall not find her path. And she shall follow after her lovers, but she shall not overtake them, and she shall seek them, but shall not find them. Then shall she say, I will go and return to my first husband, For then was it better with me than now. For she did not know that I gave her corn and wine and oil and multiplied silver and gold, which they prepared for Baal. Therefore will I return and take away my corn in the time thereof, and my wine in the season thereof, and will recover my wool and my flax given to her, to cover her nakedness. And now will I discover her lewdness in the sight of her lovers, and none shall deliver her out of mine hand. I will also cause all her mirth to cease, her feast days, her new moons, her Sabbaths, and all her solemn feasts. And I will destroy her vines and her fig trees, whereof she hath said, these are my rewards that my lovers have given me, and I will make them a forest, and the beasts of the field shall eat them. This is what the Most High is doing to us. Now, notice something here. Notice he said, plead with your mother in verse 2 of chapter 2. Plead with your mother, plead, for she is not my wife, neither am I her husband. Let her therefore put her away her whoredom. He didn't say, I'm going to put her away. He said, put away her whoredoms. Put away her whoredoms. This is interesting because what Hosea does is that everything he's doing is chastisement because of what she's doing. But her mindset is that because of the man or men, the multiple men that she's with, are not any good, she's going to go back to her first husband. Because she said the first was better than the latter. She said basically my position with all these other men that I've been with is no good. They're not doing anything for me. I might as well go right back to my husband because at least he gave me all these things and was treating me good. Let's go down. Actually, let's keep reading. This chapter is really good because it shows the hearts of men that don't care about their wives when they say that I'm going to divorce my wife. Because, again, the Most High didn't. He still called for his wife to be reconciled to him. And we're going to show that in 1 Corinthians chapter 7. We're going to show the mindset that men need to have. This is why they hate Paul. Or this is why the ones that say that they don't have no issue with Paul have an issue with Paul because they don't do anything out of his mouth that he said, and he was speaking according to the words of the Most High. And it says in verse 13, and I will visit upon her the days of Baalim, wherein she burned incense to them, and she decked herself with her earrings and her jewels, and she went after her lovers and forgot me, says Yahuwah. Going back to Ezekiel chapter 16, you women need to stop wearing that stuff. Take that stuff off your face. Don't be decking yourself with any of those gold, silver, no nothing. You need to be bare on your face. You don't need to put no makeup on your face. Don't be putting nothing in your hair. You need to have your natural hair, and your head needs to be covered. You don't need to have no earrings in your hair, no nose jewels, no piercings, no nothing. Get that stuff off your face because it is an abomination unto the Most High because it only shows that you're portraying portraying a glory upon yourself. The women of old, the women of righteousness, were shamefacedness. They didn't have this stuff. That's why Jacob, when he told his wives, hey, put away your idols and your earrings and your jewels. Put that junk away. Guess what? The same thing happened again in the book of Exodus. And let's go to that real quick. Just a side note. People don't know. I guess people didn't pay attention to that. Let's go to Shammut. Exodus chapter 33. Okay, this is after the great transgression now. This is after Yahshua played the harlot, and by saying, hey, this is Yahuwah. They called the golden calf Yahuwah and said, we're going to make sacrifices unto you. He's going to lead us. He's the God that led us out of the wilderness. Da, da, da. This is after they sinned. And they were ashamed. And I'm going to start at verse 3, just so we can get context a little bit. Or, no. I can start at verse 1. I'm going to start at verse 1. It says, And Yahuwah said unto Moses, Depart and go up hence, thou and the people which thou hast brought up out of the land of Mitzrayim, unto the land which I swear unto Abraham, to Yitzchak, and to Jacob, saying, Unto thy seed will I give it. And I will send an angel before you, and I will drive out the Canaanite, the Amorite, the Hittite, and the Perizzite, the Hivite, and the Jebusite. So he's reminding us the promise that he made. He's reminding us the promise that he made, and the fact that we broke that promise. Unto a land flowing with milk and honey, for I will not go up in the midst of thee, for thou art a stiff-necked people, lest I consume thee in the way. So therefore he's separating from us. That's what he did. He separated from us. He said, I will not go with you, separation, because you have departed from me, and you have played, and you have sinned. You have done a great transgression. Verse 4, and it says, When the people heard these evil tidings, they mourned, and no man did put on him his ornament. Your glory has to come off. The glory that you want to put on yourself, whether it's in your hair, whether it's on your face, whether it's on your earrings, your jewels, or your bracelets, whatever, your little tinkling, all that junk needs to come off. It needs to come off. You men too. Don't be having no rings. Don't be having no earrings or piercings or whatever you want to put on your little junk, your necklaces either. Put that junk away. Verse 5, For Yahuwah has said unto Moses, saying to the children of Yahshua, You are a stiff-necked people. I will come up into the midst of you in a moment and consume you. Therefore now put off thy ornaments from thee, that I may know what to do unto you. And the children of Yahshua stripped themselves of their ornaments by the Mount Horeb. Verse 7, this is the key. Pay attention. And Moses took the tabernacle and pitched it without the camp, far off from the camp, and called it the tabernacle of the congregation. And it came to pass that everyone which saw Yahuwah went out unto the tabernacle of the congregation, which was without the camp. So anybody, and I mean this, anybody who is trying to seek after the Most High, anybody who's seeking after the Most High, don't seek after the Most High and you got that junk on your face. You got that junk around your neck. You're trying to glorify yourself. You got makeup on your face. The Most High is not paying attention to you until you become shamefaced, until you become meek, until you become humble. It means bare face. If a man does not have makeup on his face and you're the image of man, take it off. If a man does not put tracks and weave in his hair, take it off. If a man is not putting on makeup and jewelry, and if that man is putting on makeup and jewelry, makeup and jewelry and whatever else, he needs to take it off. Both of you do. Take it off. Put that stuff away. Get rid of it. Throw it out. Take that ring off. Take it off. Take all the jewelry off. Take all the jewelry off. Because we forget a lot of these things come from Mitzrayim. A lot of these things come from Mitzrayim. We don't get it. We don't understand biblical marriage. We don't understand how the marriage works. They didn't have no ring on the ring finger. That's Mitzrayim. Look it up. Look it up. Do your own research. It comes from Mitzrayim. It does not come from the Most High. All your nose jewels, all your piercings, all of that junk, take it off. Notice something. When you read editions of Esther, notice what she did when she was fasting. Pertaining to those who are trying to keep the Day of Atonement, to those who are fasting and praying, and you got makeup on your face. Notice, Esther said, I hate this stuff. I hate the diadem. I hate all of these jewels. I hate all this stuff. And privately, when she was in privacy, she immediately took that stuff off. How much does that say for you women? How much does that say for you men? We're called the tabernacle. Those who are seeking after the Most High are called the tabernacle of the congregation. And notice that tabernacle of the congregation is represented, again, real quick, going to Revelation, Kazum, Revelation 21. And it says, starting at verse 1, And I saw the new heaven and the new earth. This lets you know that unlike these Christians who keep saying that he's going to be married to a bunch of Gentile nations who don't keep his laws, don't keep his commandments, and all these different things, who don't care nothing about what he says, or even the fact that even the most blasphemous statements that I've heard about him marrying a Gentile nation or having a Gentile wife, this lets you know that's not what he's talking about. And this lets you know how ignorant, willfully ignorant, people are. Revelation chapter 21. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I saw, and I, Yahuwah, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from Yahuwah out of Shamayim, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. Who's the bride? And I heard a great voice out of Shamayim saying, behold, the tabernacle of Yahuwah is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and Yahuwah himself shall be with them, and be their Elohim. And Yahuwah shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. Tabernacle of Yahuwah? That sounds like the tabernacle of the congregation, because the congregation is who had the covenant with Yahuwah. That goes right back to Exodus chapter 33, verse 7. So again, for all these Christians, you need to come out of Christianity. I'm telling you real quick. All you brothers, you come out of Christianity. Come out of it like a dead habit. Come out and separate from that whore that is the whore of Babylon. Come out. That is the religion of Babylon. I'm telling you, come out. Come out from among her and be you separate. Touch not the unclean thing, that Most High will receive you. I'm telling you, come out of that stuff. Come out. I'm telling you, Christianity is a grave. And as well as these camps, come out of them. I'm telling you, they're a grave. They are a grave. They're not a grave in the sense that they're going to put you down 6 feet under. I'm telling you, they're a grave because they're going to put you down in the belly of the earth, which is the lake of fire. So we see that the tabernacle of the congregation, the tabernacle of the congregation is the same congregation that was spoken of in the book of Acts. Is the same congregation that was spoken of in the book of Acts that that was what they what they want to call was the congregation that was in the wilderness. That was the congregation that was in the wilderness. That's the tabernacle of Yahuwah. That's where it was. That's where it is. That's who it's with. It's with his people. It's with Yasharal. Anybody outside of Yasharal has to understand they got to be attached to the congregation that is Yasharal. They got to be attached to his people. They got to be attached to the ways of the Most High. They have to be attached to that. The same way Ruth was attached to not only Yasharal, but was attached to the Most High. She said, your people should be my people, your Elohim, my Elohim. That's how anybody who is a Gentile in Christianity or in any other religion, whatever it is, you have to come not only out of that religion, you have to come out of that nonsense, understand the ways of the Most High, and understand who his people are. That is his people, and I will be with his people, and I will be with their Elohim. Okay, let's go back to Hosea. Let's keep going. Because in Hosea, we're talking about the relationship. We're talking about a broken relationship that has been made, that has been done, that needs to be mended. That's exactly why Mashiach is the mediator between Yahuwah and man. That's why he's the mediator, because there had to be a renewing of the covenant. We broke it. We have to pay the price. But instead of us paying the price, the full price of what had to be paid, the Most High has to keep his covenant. So how does he keep his covenant without violating the principles that we broke it, we deserve death. How does he basically keep the marriage covenant alive without fully destroying his wife? How does he do that? How? By the fact that he sent his only begotten Son to die for our sins. And when he did that, that we need to die to ourselves to live for him. That's why it says exactly in Ephesians 5, it says that that the wives need to respect your husbands. You need to honor your husbands. Husbands, love your wives. I'm going to say that again to the husbands. Husbands, love your wives. Your wife, as in single. Singular. Love your wife. As Mashiach loved the congregation. There's no other congregation than that of Yasharal. So with these Christians talking about, oh, he died for the church, that ain't who he died for. Not this current one, whatever they want to call it, this current, whatever thing it is. He didn't die for that. He died for the nation of Yasharal as pertaining to those who would obey him. That's who he died for. He died for the stranger that was willing to forsake his way, his lifestyle, his things, everything about him, and say, I want to be with the Most High's people. And I want to be with the Most High. Just like Ruth, just like Uriah the Hittite, just like Rahab. So we should know better than this. Let's go back. Again, going back to Hosea. It says in chapter 3, Hosea, I'm going to start at verse 17 in chapter 2. It says, for I will take away the names of Balaam, let me start at verse 15. Verse 14, that's where I stopped off at. That's because I read 13. Verse 14, I keep forgetting my place. Therefore, behold, I will allure her and bring her into the wilderness and speak comfortably unto her. And I will give her her vineyards from thence and the valley of Achor for a door of hope. And she shall sing there as in the days of her youth and as in the day when she came up out of Mitzrayim, out of the land of Mitzrayim. And it shall be at that day, says Yahuwah, that thou shalt call me Ishi, and shall call me no more Baali. For I will take away the names of Balaam out of her mouth, and they shall no more be remembered by their name. And in that day will I make a covenant for them with the beasts of the field and with the fowls of Shamaim and with the creeping things of the ground, and I will break the bow and the sword and the battle out of the earth, and will make them to lie down safely. And I will betroth you unto me forever. Forever. Yea, I will betroth you unto me in righteousness and in judgment and in loving kindness and in mercy. Husbands, we need to understand this concept. That's what he said he would do to his wife, even after she kept cheating on him. This is the Most High speaking from the mouth of Hosea. Hosea had to do the exact same thing, folks. He could not divorce his wife. She was a wife of whoredom. He knew that, and the Most High told him to do it. And guess what? He didn't divorce his wife. Nowhere in this book did the prophet Hosea divorce his wife. Nowhere. In fact, even after she did everything she did to him, guess what? What he's saying out of his mouth is a reflection of what the Most High is doing with us. He is going to make us forget the names of these idols. In a womanly for a woman's sense, a woman's going to forget her lovers and realize, wow, I made a mistake. Let me go back to my husband because he's been good to me. He's been merciful. He's been patient. He's been kind and stuff like that. Therefore, I'm going to reconcile back to my husband. Because none of these other men were my husbands. I'm going to go back to the first, the one, the only. He is my husband. I'm going to go back to this, and I will even betroth you unto me in faithfulness. and thou shalt know Yahuwah. And it shall come to pass in that day, I will hear, says Yahuwah, I will hear the Shamayim, and they shall hear the earth. And the earth shall hear the corn and the wine and the oil, and they shall hear Jezreel. And I will sow her unto me in the earth, and I will have mercy upon her that had not obtained mercy. And I will say to them which are not my people, thou art my people, and they shall say, thou art my Elohim. Didn't we now just read that in Chazon chapter 21? The tabernacle is with the tabernacle of Yahuwah is with men. The tabernacle of Yahuwah is with men, and he shall be their Elohim, and they shall be his people. Did we not just read that? Who was he talking to? Well, we all know that those who are in the Hebraic community know that, but do we know how that the loving kindness, the tender mercy, the faithfulness, the meekness, the humility, all of these things are attributes of the Most High that should be in us men. And these attributes need to be displayed to our wives in spite of everything that they do to us. If you do wrong to your wife, you need to be humble and admit you're wrong and do right. 1 Corinthians chapter 7. I said I would go to it, and I didn't forget. 1 Corinthians chapter 7. Said, now concerning the things whereof you wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, not wives, plural. No, wife, singular. And let every woman have her own husband. You men need to stop trying to make your wife give you a pass. Like, David had more than one wife. Jacob had more than one wife. Abraham had more than one wife. Why can't I? Let me ask, can a wife have more than one husband? I just think that's interesting. Can a wife have more than one husband? No, she can't. Okay, so why do you think you can have more than one wife? Let's be equal. Let's be fair. The Most High is fair. He didn't say I have more than one wife. He says he only has one. Anyway, let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband. Okay, so both of you guys are supposed to have respect unto one another. You're supposed to be in due benevolence. You're supposed to do right unto one another. Verse 4: the wife hath not power of her own body, but the husband, and likewise also the husband has not power of his own body, but the wife. Fraud you not one the other, except it be with consent for a time, that you may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together again, that Satan tempts you not for your incontinency. So women, you need to stop playing this lock, clink, clink type deal with your husband unless he does something for you. That's not how that works. You husbands, you need to stop forcing your wives to just lay down with you willy-nilly, or should I say, force your wives to lay down with you, and you guys are not talking about fixing any issues. Y'all not addressing anything. Y'all not addressing how wrong it is, how wrong your marriage is, and all that stuff. All you see as your wife is just a tool for you to get gratification. That's not how this works, men, brothers. From the oldest to the youngest, that's not how that works. If your wife is saying, "Oh, I'm gonna fast for 3 days," and you agree to that, don't turn around and try to force your wife to lay down with you in the midst of the first or second or third day, just because you feeling a little lack of self-control. Not how that works, man. Wives, you can't be like that to your husbands, to where you just blocking them like for 2 years, saying, "You not laying down with me." I mean, clearly the Most High said, "Defraud you not one another, one the other, except to be with consent for a time, that you may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together again. That Satan tempts you not for your incontinency." That means lack of self-control. Understand that, women. Do not use your body as a weapon against men. Do not. Men, don't be using your strength against your wives. Do not. Speak this by permission and not of commandment, for I would that all men were even as myself, but every man hath his proper gift of Yahuwah, one after this manner and the other after that. Verse 10. I'm going to just skip down verse 10. And unto the married I command, yet not I, but Yahuwah. This is a command, guys. Let not the wife depart from her husband. Wives, don't be leaving your husband if he's not good in bed. Don't be leaving your husband just because he got fired from his job. He can't get any work. He's looking for work, but he's not providing for the home, and you guys are in poverty. Don't try that. I'm telling you, even if he's a lazy good, and this is the thing, even if he's a lazy good for nothing, you married him, he's your husband, you better love him. It's not a commandment from me. It's a commandment from the Most High, because he commands you to do that, not me. If she depart, let her remain unmarried, wives, remain unmarried, or be reconciled to her husband, and let not the husband put away his wife. Men, I told you. I'm telling you. The Most High is telling you. Don't try it. Do not. Do not even try to think that you have some way out just because your wife is uppity. Just because your wife does not feel like doing something for you. Just because your wife, when you ask her to get you some tea, she says, get it yourself. I don't care how she is. Even if she's wrong, if that's how she's acting. But even when she's wrong, guess what? She's still your wife. Don't even try it. She can act like a Jezebel till the end of all her days. She's still your wife. You made your bed, sleep in it. She's still your wife. Do not try it. You better reconcile. You better do something. If she's trying to kill you, if she's being a brawling woman, if she's trying to do all these things in the book, if she's really not trying to follow after the ways of the Most High and go totally contrary, hey, separate. Separate. If you can maintain as a man, separate and say, you know what? This ain't working out. You keep doing things contrary to the book. You keep trying to teach our children, or you keep trying to bring Christmas trees and junk like that. You keep trying to bring pork in the house. I can't eat that stuff. That stuff is an abomination. What are you doing? I can't do that. I can't do this. What are you doing that? If she's doing stuff like this, hey, depart, remain unmarried until you can reconcile back to your wife. If she decides, well, forget him, I'm just going to go divorce him and be with another man then. Let her do that. But you remain single. Woman, same thing. If you have a man that's being abusive, trying to kill you, trying to rape you and stuff like that, you're married to him, but hey, and stuff like that is happening, leave. Don't stay there. Don't take that. Leave. But remain unmarried. Do not, unless you can reconcile back to your husband and he's going to do right by you, do not try to be with another man just because you think he's better or he looks better or because or because it's one of those R&B songs. Like this is like, you know, I can treat you better than him. Don't try it. I'm telling you. Don't try it. Don't let your body, the man too, don't let your bodies get you to the lake of fire. You burning so much, you bust the lake of fire wide open. I'm telling you, you're going to be making a good splash in the lake of fire. I'm telling you, don't do it. Verse 12, but to the rest speak I, not Yahuwah. If any brother has a wife that believes not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not away. And the woman which has an husband that believes not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him. So wives, he could be the biggest sinner on the planet. He can be a man that says, I worship Satan and Satan is my Elohim and all these different things. That's what he could be saying. That's what he's doing. He could be bringing, I don't know, he could be bringing Christmas cheese. I'll just put it that way. He could be bringing all kinds of weird nonsense going on. He could be doing things contrary. Be obedient to the Most High. Be obedient to the Most High first, and love your husband. Love your husband the way the Most High tells you to love your husband. Do not be in sin with him, but be obedient. Husband, same thing. Same thing. Do not be in sin for your wife, but be obedient. If your wife still wants you to stay with her, she's not going to leave you, but she's still doing things contrary, don't leave. That's what it says. Don't leave. Wives, same thing. He's not beating you breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He doesn't believe. He's an atheist. He's an agnostic. He's whatever. He's a Christian. He doesn't believe it. Keep believing the word, and you don't leave him. You maintain what you understand in the word, that is that you have to love your husband. You need to put a covering on the top of your hair. You need to cover your head to represent the fact, even if he doesn't like it, that's according to the Most High's word. You obey. Got a second? Whew. I'm going to keep going just a little bit. Got to take care of the baby for 1 second. And verse 14, for the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean, but now are they holy. But if the unbelieving depart, let him depart. A brother or sister is not under bondage in such cases, but Yahuwah has called us to peace. That does not mean that she's no longer your wife, men and women. That means that she's departed. That means you don't have to deal with the fact that you have the unbelieving spouse corrupting you and trying to teach you things or do things in front of you contrary to the book, and you're vexed in your ruach because of that. I mean, it's understandable. You're not in bondage in that case. Give me 1 second. Trying to take care of this one thing in my house. Oh, man. Got to fill my duties. Okay. All right. Had to take care of that issue. All right. Keep going. It says, verse 16, for what knowest thou, O wife, whether thou shalt save thy husband? Or how knowest thou, O man, whether thou shalt save thy wife? But as you have distributed to every man, as Yahuwah has called every one, so let him walk, and so ordain I in all the congregations. Okay? So we see the blood covenant, okay, is a representation of Mashiach. We see that the blood covenant is a representation of Mashiach with us as the tabernacle of the congregation. We are the bride. We are the body. So because of that, because we represent him as men, we need to understand that the way he loves us, we need to have that same love toward our wife. Going to Ephesians Chapter 4. And it says, there is one body and one spirit, even as you are called in one hope of your calling, one Adon, one faith, one baptism, one Elohim, and Father of all, who is above all and through all and in you all. So if he's in you, again, there's only one doctrine. There's only one doctrine. There's only one faith, one baptism. So if there's only one, then there's no way that a man should be mistreating his wife in any way. There's no reason how the Most High, the fact that any man should be saying that he has an out with his wife. You shouldn't do that. And you shouldn't be causing divorce for another person's marriage. Everlasting covenant. The same way the blood covenant was an everlasting covenant. That's what the book says. That they've broken the everlasting covenant. Ephesians chapter 5. Let me go here real quick. It says, starting verse 15, see then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil. A lot of evil is going on in the world. We don't need men who are buck dancing around the word or who don't believe that this word doesn't have any power. We don't need men who are going to sit here and treat their wives any kind of way. We don't need that. It's enough of that already. We don't need that. The days are evil. We need to walk wisely. Verse 17, wherefore be you not unwise, but understanding what the will of Yahuwah is. Again, we need to understand what the will of Yahuwah is. What's the standard, man? What's the standard? We're the ones who set the standard in our homes. What's the standard? We got so much dysfunction from our own fathers. Why are we bringing dysfunction into our own house just because we learn we're an Israelite? Makes no sense. We need to understand the standard and know what the will of Yahuwah is. Let's skip down. Verse 20, it says, giving thanks always for all things unto Yahuwah and the Father in the name of our Adon, Yahushua Mashiach, submitting yourselves one to another in the fear of Yahuwah. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto Yahuwah. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Mashiach is the head of the congregation, and he is the Savior of the body. So wives, if your husband is doing right by you, whether he's an unbeliever or not, if he's doing right by you, submit. Submit. Don't act like don't act like you don't have to submit. Do what's right. Stay in line. Stay in your lane. Same thing goes for the men. I'm not discriminating. Because sadly we got women who feel entitled. Because sadly a lot of sisters are in this feminist movement, this feminist idea. Feminism is a joke and it's a junk and it's a bunch of stuff that goes back to the things of the world. And women feel entitled that, he don't have no right to tell me what to do. Yes, he does. The same way Mashiach has every right to tell you what to do. The same way. And guess what? Just as the congregation, you who say you love Mashiach, the same way you want to obey Mashiach, well, he tells you to obey your husband. Submit to him. If he's doing right by you, he's not harming you in any way. He tells you to do something. Do it. If it's not going contrary to the book, do it. If he's telling you, woman, I want you to dress modestly, you should do that anyway. But he wants you to dress more modestly. He doesn't want you showing your arms. He doesn't want you showing your legs. You should be doing that anyway. But still, let's say you didn't know about that. Do it. Do it. Even if he feels like you're showing too much skin to other men. I don't like that. Cover up. Submit. Period. Again, I'm going to read it. Verse 23. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Mashiach is the head of the congregation, and he is the Savior of the body. Therefore, as the congregation is subject unto Mashiach, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything. Whoever you women are in this feminist movement, I'm telling you right now, and I've had to deal with one of them, and they're going to the lake of fire. I'm not even going to call out their name because they probably know if they're listening to this. I hope that I get one good feminist to even try it. I really, really, really do hope to even try it, because the fact that you're a feminist, that you believe in any facet of that ideology whatsoever, you go into the lake of fire. The fact that you even believe it, you go into the lake of fire. Period. Because feminism is rooted in rebellion, is rooted in rebellion and being a Jezebel. That's exactly what it's rooted in. So I'm hoping that women who are in that feminist movement, that they remain single, that they're not married to anybody, for one, and they don't try to be, but for two, that they don't even try to even say that they serve the Most High. I really do hope none of those things are the case, because if you do, you're a liar. The Most High told you to submit, and he tells you to submit to a man. That physical man that is the head over you is who you're supposed to submit to in everything. When he tells you to do something, and it's the right thing to do, to you husbands, to you men, husbands, love your wives, even as Mashiach also loved the congregation and gave himself for it, that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word, that he might present it to himself a glorious congregation, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be hudash and without blemish. So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. He that loves his wife loves himself. For no man ever yet hated his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it, even as Yahuwah, the congregation. So if any man is beating their wife, abusing their wife, verbally abusing their wife, whatsoever, if you're saying, woman, since you want to be like that, you ain't eating, and take the food away, throw all the food out of the house, throw in plates and stuff like that, then that man is two things. One, he's suicidal and a hater of the Most High. He's both of these things. The reason why is because any man who would harm his own wife, the scripture says, for no man ever yet hated his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it. So the wife is supposed to be exactly your flesh, and she's exactly your bone. If you nourish your body by doing exercises, eating, drinking to make sure you have nourishment, and all these different things that you do for your body to make sure it stays in good shape, then if you abuse your wife, you are suicidal. You hate yourself. You hate your body. You hate you. That's who you hate. That's who you hate. You're suicidal. If you're willing to kill your wife, it's equivalent to saying you're willing to kill yourself. You're a murderer. And you're a hater of the Most High. Because he's your head. Again, going back, for we are members of his body and of his flesh, verse 30, for we are members of his body, of his flesh, and of his bones. For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall be joined unto his wife, and they two shall be one flesh. This is a great mystery, but I speak concerning Mashiach and the congregation. So all these, all the Christian antics, all the churchy fanatics, all of the urban apologizers and their apologetic friends, all of them are going to the lake of fire because they misappropriate the bride to themselves, which is very blasphemous. Two, they're going to the lake of fire not only because of that, but because of the fact is that they've been teaching for years, and I mean that, for years, to all their neighbors, and nobody's really corrected it, even these so-called urban apologists, the issues that are facing the black community, the major issue, which is the nuclear family. They have deliberately allowed men to depart from their wives. Deliberately. I've seen in the congregations I've been in. They deliberately allow men to depart from their wives and did not tell the men and or the women that they're in adultery. And number 3, the fact that they have departed from the Most High's law and have taught men abominations, they're going to the lake of fire to such a degree it's not even funny unless they repent. And none of these urban apologists are willing to fix that. They're not even willing to talk about it. They're not even willing to deal with it because they don't care about us. They don't care about the quote-unquote urban community. They don't care about any of the issues that's facing us, marriage being the major one. That's the major one because they rather have sin continue. They don't teach about holiness and righteousness. They don't teach people that you need to repent for divorcing your wife. They don't teach people that. And all Dow, he going straight to the lake of fire too. Him and all his cronies, all his rams. They're going to be on the left side of the Most High, asking when did we not do these things? Because when you was teaching men to divorce your wife, you've done wickedness unto me. It's the same you've done unto me. That's what's going to happen to them. All the little people that support Dow, they're going to the lake of fire too. All the people in the Hebraic community, whether in these camps or outside of these camps, whether you're in it or out of it, and you still hold to these same doctrines that you can depart from your wife and be with another woman, and you've allowed your wife to depart from you, you're going to lake of fire even more so than the rest of them.
Help keep the show on the air. If you want to help, you can send your donation through PayPal. The email is debatetalkforyou@gmail.com or through Cash App, $SALSHOWTIME. Thanks for your support.